value stream. What does that mean? The value stream is what contributes value to the customer. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing anything else, that's waste. It's not focused on the value that the end user, your client, your customer needs. And it's an additional cost that you're carrying that's probably prohibiting you from being competitive in the marketplace. So when you start to map out value streams and you start looking at waste that's all along the path, not just in the process, but outside the process, and start to strip that out, because you now have a committed group of people who their only objective is to make it better, and you reward them at the end of it by making their analysis become a reality, and then they get a chance to see and measure those results and the differentials that it created. It's thrilling. It's thrilling.
You just summarized 2 weeks of teaching of total quality management.
Oh yeah,
that's
sure.
exactly. So first it's the people, get the right people in the right place.
Absolutely.
Then it's systems,
Yep.
total, streamline, get rid of waste, and find out where the value is and capitalize on that.
Then it's market. Go out to the marketplace. You can build the lowest cost widget.
Yep.
And if there isn't anybody out there who wants to buy it, guess what?
It sits in inventory.
You are in trouble.
Well, that's the main reason I knew you'd be good for this. Is we've been talking about marketing strategy, and so that's with the third step in a turnaround process. Yep. How important is it to have that strategy? You've already said it. It's dynamic. It doesn't always stay the exact same.
Oh,
but having a strategy,
in this economy.
how important is it to have a strategy?
And these are not events, organization, process, and market that happen one after the other.
Right.
They have to happen concurrently.
Right.
You have to realize what your market is, who it is, what the demographics of it are. You have to understand what the price points in the marketplace are. You have to understand what the client's looking for relative to quality. Because you can build a Cadillac, and if you're selling into a Chevy market, guess what? I hope Chevy's there this time next year, but my point is that you're overpriced for the market that you've targeted.
Right.
So you have to be very clear on what your market is and knowledgeable of who you're marketing to.
And how do you find that? Basically,
you talk to your clients. You
talk to your existing customers.
You talk to your competitors.
Gotcha.
You form alliances.
Information.
People share. That's one of the things that you talk to your suppliers. If, for example, in the printing industry, your best information comes from your suppliers.
Really?
Oh yeah. They like to talk. You find out who, what, when, and where. What's going on out there. Next thing you do is you talk to your customers. And if you have a relationship, and it's all about relationships, Darren. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about relationships and servicing and providing a value to your customer. You've got to define what that value is that they want. Again, you can build a Cadillac, and if all they want is a Chevy, and your product's too costly, then what have you accomplished? So you talk to your clients. What are you after? When we first took over Creative Printing, the first thing we did was sit down and develop a strategic plan. What does the market need? What do they want? What do the lead times need to be in the marketplace? What's the level of quality that they need? And what are the price points? We went out in the marketplace and we took samplings from a lot of different printers. We had friends and neighbors get quotes, so we understood overall where the market was relative to price. We talked with a lot of customers and a lot of potential customers and said, what are you looking for? And that's not a conversation that just begins and ends. It's an ongoing conversation every day, every week, every month, every year, because people's views change.
Gotcha.
The market is dynamic, and if you set with and take information that you had today and say, that's going to be our model, that's how we're going to market, that's how we're going to build our processes, and that you stay with that and you don't stay in touch with the marketplace and it veers over here, you're going to run yourself out of business, because now you're providing a product that they don't want anymore. So it's dynamic. The whole process is.
What's interesting about what you just said is a lot of textbooks will talk about once you see your product, you find out what its strengths are, and you go find a market for it. But in your thinking, it's kind of backwards. You want to find your customers, talk to them, find out what they want, and then build a product around that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's you can build a product, and if you're a startup and you've got an idea, and that's what you're doing, you better damn well have discovered whether that market exists before you build that product. Because how many businesses go out every year, they've got a great idea, they neglected that important part. Is there really a market for it?
Gotcha.
It happens. We see it all the time. We see people coming into the printing business, and now is not a good time to be in the printing business. There'll be a lot fewer printers in the future, but we see new people thinking, well, that's a glamorous area, printing. I've always wanted to get into it, and they come in and they spend a lot of money on the process and the equipment and the technology, but they neglect to figure out what the market's wanting. Is the market saturated already? Which it is. It's over capacity, and you got a lot of people chasing fewer and fewer dollars.
Right.
Every day. And I would not recommend anybody coming in as a startup in the printing industry at this point. You're going to see a lot of consolidations. You're going to see a lot of people that fold. It's the nature of this industry, as well as many other industries, particularly in these kinds of times. There's one thing that's certain. The weak will not make it. The ones that are highly leveraged, that don't have a good balance sheet, that don't have good cash flow, they won't make it. The banks won't lend them any more money. They can't find other sources of capital. They're going to die.
You know, that's a great, and I know we've talked about this before, but in a situation like this, in this kind of economy, with all this competitive pressure, people giving product away in your area and so forth, you had to adapt your strategy to that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know one thing is like, don't go out and make crazy purchases or buy a lot of capital at this point.
But, you know, when we saw this coming last year, Darren, you and I talked about it, our position was we knew it was coming. We could bury our head in the sand and say, well, maybe it won't be too bad. No, we took a different approach. We took a very conservative approach. We stopped capital expenditures. We did maintain our equipment, and we'll continue to maintain our technologies. But we stopped. I mean, we'd been on a spending spree for 3 years, bringing a bunch of equipment in so that we could expand our capabilities, and it paid off for us. But when we saw this coming, we just pulled everything in and sat on our cash, generating more cash. We refinanced our company to a lower interest rate and locked it in. We developed lines of credit at very low interest rates before it hit.
Right.
So we positioned ourselves financially so that depending upon and we also did the final thing, which everybody should do under these times. There are key measurements that you can see based upon how your business is running. Okay.